One of my favorite topics when I present a program is called You Already Know. And the alternate title is The Guru and You. And I love this topic because so much of our angst revolves around the idea that we don't know, and that we need to go to experts and we need to have other people tell us how to live. Someone once told me that a consultant is someone who borrows your watch to tell you what time it is. And so a lot of us may go to astrologers and psychic readers and various occult experts, and they can be quite valuable, to tell you the truth, and a good one will help you. But ultimately, what we're going for is self-knowledge. Once I was at a retreat center and I was walking to breakfast, and a woman said, "Excuse me, do you know what time it is?" And I said, "Well, I think it's 9:15. I didn't have a watch, but I took a guess." And she thought for a moment. She said, "Oh, I think it was 9:15 about half an hour ago." So I thought, well, why'd you ask me? and something inside her knew, you understand. I used to be Orthodox Jewish as a young man. I undertook that religion. And on the Sabbath, for very strict Jews, you're not supposed to use electricity, including an alarm clock. So I had to wake up on my own each Saturday morning, and I had to be at temple by 9, and I had to get up at 8 to get there by 9. And I remember a number of times when I opened my eyes, just as the second hand was touching the 12 on 8 o'clock. It was precisely 8 o'clock. So something inside me knew what time it was. That's kind of a surface example, but I would say that there's something inside you and everyone that knows who to date and who to have sex with and who to marry and which job belongs to you and which house belongs to you and what to do with your kids. And any question you could ask me or any person who's a self-help teacher, if you sat with it long enough, you could get the answer yourself. And the truth is that any good teacher throws you back on self-knowledge. There are two kinds of gurus. One guru says, both gurus sit by a river, and one says, "Here's bottled river water, pay me $1. Another guru says, "If you like the water, I'll show you where to get it from the river." And so any good teacher will take the student by the hand and invite them to learn how to access divine wisdom from inside out. And in the recent movie, The Love Guru, which I'm not necessarily recommending, Mike Myers made the joke "G-U-R-U," and that's been quite an interesting acronym in the self-help movement. G-U-R-U means the guru tells you G-U-R-U. In other words, don't try to be like me, try to be like you. In fact, a friend of mine was studying with a shaman in New Mexico, and she asked him, "How can I be more like you?" And he said, "The best way to be more like me is to be more like you." In other words, you don't need to emulate me, you don't need to do my regime, you don't need to join my organization, I don't need your mailing list. My friend Scott Calixte, there's an old metaphor, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. You've all heard that, which means that if you meet somebody who purports to be the only God, you cannot afford to define God to that one person, one body. God is all, and God is in all bodies and everything. So anybody who says, "I'm God and you're not," you better kill him, because they don't go out and do that, because I said it's a metaphor, okay? But the idea is you cannot afford to believe that one person is God at the expense of another. So my friend Scott Calixte says, he updated for the New Age, he said, "If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him, but first get his mailing list." And it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek joke that, everybody's trying to enroll everybody, and mailing lists are not bad. I mean, it's good to pass them around and help people. It's all good. But if you need to have an organization to prove that you know what God is, if you need to proselytize people to prove that what God is, or if you need to be an expert and somebody isn't to prove what God is, you got the cart before the horse. So what if you went home today and you imagine that you really knew the answers to your questions? And what if you took a journal and you said, "Okay, what am I supposed to do about my relationship?" And you imagine what your favorite guru would say, and you wrote it down, I bet you'd be on the right track. In fact, in my programs I do an exercise called the Wisdom Council, where I invite people to invite all the great masters they know in spirit and have an imaginary meeting with them and ask them a question and write down the answer. And you would be amazed at the stuff that people come up with brilliant wisdom. And they go, oh, I guess I knew that. And I say, well, I guess you did. And so the idea of any teaching is to graduate the student. And there are some organizations, as you all know, that do everything they can to keep the student stuck. And as soon as you attain one level, they say, well, you thought you had it, but now there's a next level. If you just pay us the next fee, you can go to the next level. And it's unfortunate because there's never any end to that. And so any healthy organization, whether it's a church or a consciousness training or any kind of group, any healthy organization always has a graduation mechanism where they say to you, okay, you've gone as far as we can teach you, now we encourage you to go beyond this. And it takes guts because it's very tempting to keep students and clients and patients and keep them small. But personally, my goal is to empower the people who come to me to be big. I delight when they exceed me. I delight when they tell me something I didn't know. I delight when they shake my hand and say, well, I've gotten everything I can here, I'm going to go out and do my thing. I say, okay, fly. And so I think we're entering an age of enlightenment, not enlightened, but enlightenment, enlightenment, where we recognize that the God that we seek out there already lives in here, the Guru that we seek out there already lives in here, and any person we could respect or want to worship at their feet is simply reflecting the divinity that lives within us. And at that moment, we all meet on equal ground, we all become God, and suddenly life becomes a celebration rather than a quest.